respected elders, dear brothers and sisters, and everyone watching us live from around the world, Saram to all on this most auspicious evening of Gita, Sara, Sarita. As Sri Krishna states in chapter 4, Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagashaha, that the 4 occupational varnas have been designed by Sri Krishna himself based on the innate tendencies of each individual. While some students are inclined towards academic pursuits, others may present aptitude for hands-on experiences and skills. With the objective of catering to those students as well, Sadhguru this morning inaugurated the Skills and Development Program under the aegis of Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, co-certified by the Vishveshwaraya Technology University. This will be a 2-year certificate course. This will be a 2-year certificate course with 1 year of internship. The first offering will be a multi-skilling course in plumbing and electrical technologies for 14 students from rural geographies. Sadhguru first inaugurated the hostel room before proceeding to the Skills Development Center located just adjacent to the SciShow facility. The inauguration was presided by representatives from partner organizations including Bosch and WaterTech Limited as well. After the Vedic invocation, there were talks by the director Sri Satyanarayan Kumar, the principal Sri Keshavnath, warden Sri Aryan Reddy, one of the students Shankar, and Chancellor Sri B.N. Nasimhamurthy. Sadhguru, in his divine message, urged all the students to draw inspiration from Bharat Ratna awardee Sir M. Vishveshwaraya, an engineering and architectural genius from this very village of Muddenahalli. He worked tirelessly for the development of this very country. Expanding on the abbreviation of ITI, Sadhguru advised the students that they must progress from I to I, Jivatma to Paramatma. This center will empower the lives of rural youth, providing them with sustainable life skills and employment opportunities as well. Our hearty congratulations and best wishes to the first batch of these students. Sadhguru then visited the SciShow facility to preside over a progress meeting with all the staff. He walked around the packaging and production areas and blessed all the staff before departing. Lord Krishna concludes the previous chapter, advising us to believe and seek guidance from the Shastras. Yesterday, we heard how even a simple concept of Atma is so misunderstood in the present times. With inaccessibility to scriptures, poor or no Sanskrit knowledge, and without proper guidance, one can only imagine the common man's understanding of the scriptural injunctions. Which then begs the question of what should be the attitude and approach to worshipping the divine. This is the same question that was posed by Arjuna to Sri Krishna 5,000 years ago regarding those who may not follow the scriptures but worship with Shraddha. This brings us to chapter 17, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, where the Lord says, Trividha Bhavati Shraddha. Shraddha itself is of 3 types, Satviki, Rajasi, and Tamasi. The chapter further correlates the same classification to our habits and lifestyle, be it the object of worship, the kind of food we eat, the manner and motive with which one performs austerities and charity. The word Shraddha itself is defined as Shastrasya Guruvakyasya Satya Buddhya Avadharana, which means belief in the scriptures and words of the Guru alone will lead us to the eternal truth. While we may or may not fully understand the scriptures, we are blessed to have a Guru, and all we need to do is to simply, implicitly obey him, and this simple mantra alone lead us to the divine destination. We shall now chant the shlokas from chapter 17.
ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ सप्तदशोऽध्यायः श्रद्धात्रयविभागयोगः। अर्जुन उवाच ये शास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेषान्निष्ठा तु का कृष्ण सत्त्वमाहो रजस्तमः। श्रीभगवानुवाच त्रिविधा भवति श्रद्धा देहिनां सा स्वभावजा सात्विकी राजसी चैव तामसी चेति तां शृणु। सत्त्वानुरूपा सर्वस्य श्रद्धा भवति भारत। श्रद्धामयोऽयं पुरुषो यो यच्छ्रद्धः स एव सः। यजन्ते सात्विका देवान् यक्षरक्षांसि राजसाः प्रेतान् भूतगणांश्चान्ये यजन्ते तामसा जनाः। अशास्त्रविहितं घोरं तप्यन्ते ये तपोजनाः दम्भाहङ्कारसंयुक्ताः कामरागबलान्विताः कर्षयन्तः शरीरस्थं भूतग्राममचेतसः माञ्चैवान्तः शरीरस्थं तान् विद्यासुरनिश्चयान्। आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य त्रिविधो भवति प्रियः यज्ञस्तपस्तथा दानं तेषां भेदमिमं शृणु। आयुस्सत्त्वबलारोग्य सुखप्रीतिविवर्धनाः रस्याः स्निग्धा स्थिरा हृद्या आहाराः सात्विकप्रियाः। कट्वं ललवणात्युष्णा तीक्ष्णरूक्षविदाहिनः आहारा राजसस्येष्टा दुःखशोकामयप्रदाः। यातयामङ्गतरसं पूतिपर्युषितं च यत् उच्छिष्टमपि चामेध्यं भोजनं तामसप्रियम्। अफलाकाङ्क्षिभिर्यज्ञो विधिद्रष्टो य युज्यते यष्टव्यमेवेति मनः समाधाय स सात्विकः। अभिसन्धाय तु फलं दम्भार्थमपि चैव यत् युज्यते भरतश्रेष्ठ तं यज्ञं विद्धि राजसम्। विधिहीनमसृष्टान्नं मन्त्रहीनमदक्षिणं श्रद्धाविरहितं यज्ञं तामसं परिचक्षते। देवद्विजगुरुप्राज्ञा पूजनं शौचमार्जवम् ब्रह्मचर्यमहिंसा च शारीरन्तप उच्यते। अनुद्वेगकरं वाक्यं सत्यं प्रियहितं च यत् स्वाध्यायाभ्यसनं चैव वाङ्मयं तप उच्यते। मनः प्रसादः सौम्यत्वं मौनमात्मा विनिग्रहः भावसंशुद्धिरित्येतत् तपोमानसमुच्यते। श्रद्धया परया तप्तं तपस्तत्त्रिविधं नरैः अफलाकाङ्क्षिभिर्युक्तैः सात्विकं परिचक्षते। सत्कारमानपूजार्थं तपोदम्भेन चैव यत् क्रियते तदिह प्रोक्तं राजसञ्चलमध्रुवम्। मूढग्राहेणात्मनो यत् पीडया क्रियते तपः परस्योत्सादनार्थं वा तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्। दातव्यमिति यद्दानं दीयतेनुपकारिणे देशे काले च पात्रे च तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्। यत्तु प्रत्युपकारार्थं फलमुद्दिश्य वा पुनः दीयते च परिक्लिष्टं तद्दानं राजसंस्मृतम्। अदेशकाले यद्दानम् अपात्रेभ्यश्च दीयते असत्कृतमवज्ञातं तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्। ॐ तत्सदिति निर्देशो ब्रह्मणस्त्रिविधः स्मृतः ब्राह्मणास्तेन वेदाश्च यज्ञाश्च विहिताः पुरा। तस्मादोमित्युदाहृत्य यज्ञदानतपः क्रियाः प्रवर्तन्ते विधानोक्ताः सततं ब्रह्मवादिनाम्। तदित्यनभिसन्धाय फलं यज्ञतपः क्रियाः दानक्रियाश्च विविधाः क्रियन्ते मोक्षकाङ्क्षिभिः। सद्भावे साधुभावे च सदित्येतत्प्रयुज्यते प्रशस्ते कर्मणि तथा सच्छब्दः पार्थयुज्यते। यज्ञे तपसि दाने च स्थितिः सदिति चोच्यते कर्म चैव तदर्थीयं सदित्येवाभिधीयते। अश्रद्धया हुतं दत्तं तपस्तप्तं कृतं च यत् असदित्युच्यते पार्थ न च तत्प्रेत्य नो इहा। ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे श्रद्धात्रयविभागयोगो नाम सप्तदशोऽध्यायः। श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।
May we now request Sri B.N. Narasimhamurthy, Chancellor, Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, to address all of us.
Loving pranams at the feet of our most beloved Sadguru, brothers and sisters, very dear students, boys and girls. Sriniket told us about the Skills Development Center, which was inaugurated this morning by Sadhguru. The fact that these 14 boys who have joined as the first batch in this center recited shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita, 12th chapter, speaks about the uniqueness of this center. Just because they are going to become, in common language, electricians and plumbers, does not keep them out of the compassion of Sadhguru. Even these courses, now the one course, 2-year course, combining flow piping or plumbing and electrical technology, there also Paravidya is taught. It is very fortunate for these boys that these boys drawn from several parts of Karnataka and even from Andhra Pradesh, they started their education in the Skills Development Center here in Premamrutham. They joined the Bhagavad Gita Shibira, and they have learned Bhagavad Gita like any of our students. Therefore, competent, committed, and skillful workers with character are today very rare in society, and it is an attempt to bridge the gulf of unemployment. As we know, in India, we have a huge number of youth, unskilled youth who are unemployed on one side, and the other side, there is severe dearth of skillful workers in any part of the society, especially in trades like electricians and plumbers. And we pray that this Skills Development Center will open a new chapter in this field of providing employment to youth. And out of these 14 boys, 8 boys are from our own institutions who could not complete their formal education of schooling because they are not cut out for it. See, all boys, all girls are not made for academics. Therefore, these boys otherwise would drop out and would become a burden to the society, and they will be severely depressed because they feel that they could not pass the examination. Therefore, they have been condemned to work in fields here, there, anywhere. To providing them an employment opportunity and giving a training and giving a direction to their life is the purpose of the Skills Development Center under the university. As Sadhguru said yesterday, this month of July, during which we have studied the Bhagavad Gita, on completion we are going to learn 1,400 lines. We have already completed 1,200 lines till yesterday, and today you learned 56 lines of the Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. And tomorrow we are going to complete the last chapter, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. Out of the 1,200 lines that we have already learned, or out of the 1,400 lines we are going to learn by tomorrow evening, there are some lines which are very, very powerful, suffused with the power of divine grace, and just by chanting that line, just by contemplating on that line, our confidence will be boosted, either as individuals or as the whole of humanity. These are confidence boosters. There are about 15 fundamental questions raised by Arjuna in the whole of Bhagavad Gita on human life, death, and human psychology. In fact, for our university students in the Vedic studies courses, this could be a good subject for their research. Each of the questions is a fundamental question which occurs to every human being at least once in their lifetime. Every one of the questions. A question like, why do I do things which I don't want to do? I decide in the morning I don't want to do this, but by evening I have already done this. Why do I not do things which I resolve to do? See, this is one question like that. That one such fundamental question was asked by Arjuna. What forces me to do the wrong thing? Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha adichannami varshneyava baladeva niyojita. This is one of the questions. There are such 15 fundamental questions. Our boys and girls who are in Vedic studies definitely can look at these stanzas and contribute quite a lot to the Vedic literature with some research, practical-oriented research. This is one side. And there are 20 wonderful, very powerful assurances given by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. These are the real confidence boosters I was speaking about. And in times of distress, in times of despair, these are the lines which give us great solace. See, that is why Mahatma Gandhi said, no doubt Bhagavad Gita is my dearest scripture, but more than anything else, she is my mother. When I am troubled in my mind, when I face obstacles in life, I go to her, sit at her feet, and every time she has given me solace. Every time she has given me solutions for all my problems. That's what Mahatma Gandhi said. And as I told you about the 20 assurances given by Lord Krishna, each of them is worthy of contemplation by us every day. For example, beginning with the second chapter, there is a wonderful assurance for all spiritual aspirants. Neha Bikrama Nashosti Pratyavayo Navidyate Salpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bayat. Because many times it happens, we do get into these doubts. See, I am fickle-minded, but as inspired by Sadhguru, as inspired by some guru or some divine personality, I have taken to the path of spirituality. Suppose I don't reach the end because of my fickleness of mind. What would happen to me? That is the question. Here is this wonderful assurance. Anytime we get such a doubt, we have to just contemplate on these two lines. Neha Bikrama Nashosti. On the spiritual path, there is no waste of effort. See, on any other path, there can be effort could be wasted. Suppose you are doing business. You do a few things which become futile. It is a waste. Similarly, in study of a subject also. But here on the spiritual path, even if you put in a very little effort, like chanting God's name 100 times a day, it's a very simple thing like that. And many people have asked me, is it useful to chant God's name mechanically without being backed by the emotion and feeling of devotion? I would say doing it with devotion is definitely the best. The next best is, even if it is mechanical, just chanting God's name is better than not chanting at all. And some effort on the spiritual path, like helping somebody who needs help, serving somebody who is in distress, putting in a word of solace to somebody who has lost confidence, who is pestered, haunted by diffidence in life, giving a word of confidence, even that is a spiritual effort. What Krishna says is, any little effort that you have put in will yield fruit. There is nothing called waste of effort on the spiritual path. What an assurance. Pratyavayo navidyate. There is no adverse effect. By doing something on the spiritual path, it is never going to cause any problem for you, any trouble for you. It is not going to cause any trouble for you. And finally, salpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even if you practice a little of dharma, it can save you from situations of great anxiety, great fear. Many times, we get into fears. And once we are out of it, we know that it is our imagination. Especially in the night, we get up in the night from the sleep. And some thought comes, some worry, some anxiety enters. And then naturally happens, you are overcome sometimes by fear and anxiety. But here, Krishna says, even if you practice a little of dharma, it will save you from mahato bhayat, the worst of the fears, the greatest of the fears, you will be saved. This is in the second chapter. And the last assurance you find, this is the first assurance of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. And the last assurance in the 18th chapter, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja aham tva sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami masucha. So what a great assurance from God Himself. Whenever you are in a dilemma, whether this is right or that is right, whether if you get a doubt whether I am on the right path or the wrong path, whom to trust. In all such situations, Lord Krishna assures, just give up all that thought of dharma and adharma. Give up all dharmas and adharmas and just surrender to me. Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masucha. I will liberate you from all the sins. Don't grieve, don't worry. What an assurance. We as human beings, knowingly and unknowingly, we do commit some kind of mistakes or sins every now and then. For example, when we are walking, it is not that we can focus on our path when we are walking every time. Many times we may crush an insect or a worm, anything under our feet. See, it is really sin. Whether you do it intentionally or not, it is a sin. So we are prone to committing mistakes like that. Therefore, just surrendering to God will liberate us from all sins, all the sins that we might have committed in our previous lives or in this life, and it's a wonderful assurance. Therefore, these two, the first assurance of Lord Krishna in the second chapter and the last in the 18th chapter, last chapter, could become the two banks for our stream of life, for our stream of spiritual life, and daily just contemplate on these power-packed assurances of Lord Krishna. Many times we do derive great courage and we get rid of despair, any kind of depression, and our hearts will be filled with confidence, especially if you contemplate in the early mornings when you get up, maybe after your meditation, where there is no contemplation, you and God is revealing Himself to you. You experience His joy, you experience His love, you experience His peace. After that, one or two sentences like this, every day we contemplate. It will be a wonderful way to get over our fears, wonderful way to get over our weaknesses and shortcomings. And as I told you, there are 20 such assurances. Again, it is a topic for even intellectual research for our students, Vedic studies, or even Sanskrit studies students. And you can contribute a great lot to the wonderful Bhagavad Gita literature. With these words, I conclude and pray to Sadhguru for his enlightening talk on Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Thank you very much. Sara.
Much before Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, Sri Krishna mentions about this idea of Shraddha. I think in the 9th chapter, Rajya Vidya Yoga. He says, Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha Shraddhayar chitumichati tasya tasya achalam shraddham tama eva vidadamyaham. Which means whichever devotee wants to worship the Lord in whichever form and name, but with Shraddha, with great faith, with sincere devotion, to that devotee I give faith and sincere devotion in that name and form. I support that. Sri Krishna does not say, if you worship me only, I will give you devotion. Because I am Sri Krishna, you put the photo of Bhagavan Sri Krishna and worship me, only then I will give you faith and devotion in that. No, whichever form and name. You try to reach God, Bhagavan is there to support us. And Shraddha is not just about divine feelings. In anything in our lives, we need this Shraddha. Deep, sincere faith in that, conviction in that, and the ability to pursue it. When students of different nature, they all join us. Some are musicians, some are very academic oriented, some are sports people, some are artists, some are dancers. So also some who want to learn other skills. They all have their Shraddha, their interest, and their devotion to that particular field. And the institution's responsibility, just like Lord Krishna's responsibility, is to provide them with the opportunity to pursue their Shraddha, to pursue their interests. So just as Sri Krishna says, I will give you support, I will help you to pursue the Shraddha that you are interested in. Likewise, as an institution, this is the assurance too, that whatever be your area of interest, whatever is that which you want to pursue in your life as a path, as a profession, we as an institution are here to support you, provide you with that opportunity so that you can shine in whichever area that you choose to follow. Today, Skills Development Center, which opened, is just another chapter, another way to provide an opportunity to the students who are interested in those skills. And as Narasimhamurthy said just a while ago, that some of the students are totally new. They have come from different parts of the country, even from Chhattisgarh, even from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Karnataka, many parts of Karnataka. They've come only because this is what they would like to do, and this is where the opportunity is there for them to follow this. And I was also told that some of them, or at least one of them who was pursuing a similar course elsewhere, he finished his first year education, but second year was difficult to pursue because he could not pay the fees there. So even for a course like this, think of MBBS and MTech and engineering, they are expensive courses. But even for courses as simple as this, certification courses also, there are people who cannot afford it. And so this becomes the responsibility of the institution to provide them with an opportunity to pursue even those. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna again assures that I will give you everything, I will support you in whatever be your pursuit, except criminal pursuits and terrible things. I will protect you and provide for whatever you require. Provide, you are doing good things, you are trying to learn something good, and with that you can help more people. So Bhagavan Krishna assures you. Likewise, this institution, this university also assures you. I had been waiting for almost 3 years for this course to begin. It was all kind of conceived much before COVID. But then during the COVID time, everything went haywire. Then we got busy with so many other things. And finally, this could open. And I want to convey blessings to all those who worked to develop this course within the university, and this is just the first 14 students, but year after year, more and more students will join, and more courses will also be provided in order to help more people pursue their own paths of interest. And that is how you create excellence in the society. When we follow that path which we are truly interested in, we become excellent in it because we give our heart and soul to it. We don't shy away from working hard because it's not even hard work, it's not even shrama. Because of this shraddha, it is a prema. You do it out of love, so you're never tired doing it and you do it really well. Whereas when you're forced to do something which is not of your taste and interest, but because of other obligations and pressures, you do that. That's when you suffer. You do not give your very best. And then we get mediocre people in the society. For example, our Premamrutham, he studied engineering, whereas his interest was philosophy. So we got a bad engineer and lost a good philosopher. Not totally, because he finally junked that engineering and actually took to the path of philosophy and spirituality. He could afford to do that. His parents blessed him. He found the guru, he found the path. He could pursue it. But not every child is as lucky to do that. Many people spend decades doing something totally different from what they like to do. And at the end, they are tired, they are kind of lost all hopes and all aspirations and all interest. And with great ordeal kind of a life they live, because they cannot say no to it due to obligations to the family and whatever parents. At the same time, they cannot do it happily too. So we create unhappy people, unhappy societies, and more dangerous is mediocre societies. Because this mediocrity is a big bane. Every human is born to flourish, shine, blossom in that particular guna dharma that God has bestowed that particular human being with. We all know now, everybody has their guna dharmas. And if we can align their guna dharmas with what they study and what they can do in life, we will have excellence everywhere in the society. A doctor will be the best doctor, a teacher will be the best teacher, a singer will be the best singer. Even a carpenter will be the best carpenter. An artist will be the best artist. A cook will be the best cook. Even a driver will be a good driver. In everything, if they pursue their area of interest, and society provides the opportunity to do that, just as Sri Krishna says, Tasya tasya chalam shraddham, tameva midadamyaham. I will give in that particular area of interest. I will give you all the support so that you can pursue it. He says here in the context of worshipping the divine names and forms, or even otherwise pursuing anything else in the spiritual path. But to me, this is my assurance to our students, Tasya chalam shraddham tameva vidadamyaham. Whichever is your area of interest, of study, whichever is the path that you think you should follow because you love that, as an institution we will make every effort to provide you with that opportunity so that you can excel, you can shine, and you will attain that perfection. Yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Even a plumber, if he does not do his job properly, in the sense with perfection, you will have trouble with all your water leaking everywhere. Or an electrician does not do his job with perfection, with kaushalam. What is going to happen? We might have short circuit and fire. So everybody has to do their job properly. They will do it only when they have total shraddha in it and they have the opportunity to pursue it. Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga is about shraddha of different kinds of people in different kinds of things. And since Bhagavad Gita is largely talking to us about human nature, the nature of the mind, the nature of the work that we do according to our mind and our gunas, so this is more about that. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is asked this question by Arjuna. Because in the last chapter he said, those who do not follow the Shastras and do as they please, they do not attain happiness in this world or beyond. They do not attain anything. They waste the opportunity of being born as a human being. So Arjuna naturally thought, I haven't read the scriptures in my life. I do not know anything. I do not know whether I have done everything right or wrong so far. Like pujaris are there, they will tell you, do this, you blindly follow whatever they say, because you do not understand what they are saying. Even the pujari may not know what he is saying. That is the situation that we are in today. For that reason, Arjuna simply, sincerely asks Sri Krishna, Oh Bhagavan, those who have not followed the scriptural injunctions to the T, yet they have done whatever they can with certain shraddha, with certain sincerity and faith. What happens to them? What is their situation? What is their fate? And his question is genuine because a lot of people do not have access to scriptures. Nobody can explain to them properly. Unfortunately, it's not been taught for generations now. So what is the fate of such sincere people, yet they have not known the scriptures? And to which Krishna replies that, see, everybody has three kinds of Shraddha. Satvik Shraddha, Rajasik Shraddha and Tamasik Shraddha. And we all know Sattva, Rajas, Tamas are the three gunas. This is just the elaboration of the same qualities when it appears as your Shraddha. Again, Shraddha, what is Shraddha? Shraddhate iti Shraddha. Shraddhate means that faith or that understanding, that idea that you can hold, that you can pursue. That is Shraddha. I have interest in music, I have Shraddha in music, then you should pursue music. You must practice and achieve perfection in it. I have Shraddha in sports, then you should go pursue the idea of sports, do very well, practice, work hard and achieve perfection in it. Like that, if you have Shraddha in any field, you must be able to hold that idea and pursue it till its end, not give up. So Shraddha is very deep. It's not hobby. It is your very pursuit. It is a very gunadharma that you are born with. So this Shraddha, even in worshipping the Lord, or reading the scriptures, or doing things which scriptures tell us to do, we may be able to exhibit different kinds of Shraddha because of our original nature, whether we are Tamasi nature, or Rajasic nature, or Sattvic nature. This is the idea of this whole chapter. And in this, Bhagavan defines that whatever your Shraddha is, that will reflect in the actions that you do. The kind of things you do in this world, that is a reflection of the kind of person you are. But he says, whatever is your Shraddha, that is what you are at the end. What is your Shraddha? That is what you are. If your Shraddha is tamasic, you believe and you are interested only in lazy things, lethargic things and cruel things, you are that person. We know that that is what you will end up doing in your life. And if you have Rajasic Shraddhas, you will end up doing Rajasic things in your life. If you have Sattvic Shraddha, you will only be doing Sattvic things in your life. So Shraddha is something that is much deeper and that shapes your personality, and that is what makes you do what you are doing in your life. With this, he explains 4 different things that are important from the point of view of spiritual progress. One is your food habits. And he says different types of people eat different kinds of food. And there is all description, we have all gone through the discourse, you know. Sattvic food is there, which is mild and which is easy on the body, which is healthy, juicy, not dry, not stinky, not deteriorating, fresh. And you will feel light and joyful after eating this. That is the Sattvic food. And this is loved by who? By Sattvic Shraddha people, who have Sattvic feelings, who are pure in nature, who are mild in nature. They love the food also accordingly. And we all say, as is your food, so is your mind. Whatever food you eat, not just through your mouth, through your nose, ears, eyes, skin, in the sense, whatever you consume through your senses is food only. Like we say, food for thought. That's not a food served on a plate that you have to think about. Food for thought means this is some idea that you must think about. So like that, food for ears, food for nose, food for your tongue, food for your hands. For everything there is a food. The sense organs, they perceive the world, they grasp or they accumulate experiences from the world. That is all food only. So what you see, what you hear, taste, smell or touch, that is the food. So Sattvic people will only see good things, do good things, hear good things, smell, taste, touch, everything will be good about them. Because they want to avoid anything that is going to spoil their purity and stability or sanctity. They want to maintain them. So they'll run away from bad company, they'll always keep good company. And even if you bring some bad things in front of them, they will avoid it so that they are not polluted and contaminated. So that is Sattvic people's nature. Rajasic people eat Rajasic food, very spicy, very sharp tastes. Not mild tastes, very sharp tastes. Because they are also sharp in that way, they are very sharp in their every activity, including their tongue. So they are very hurtful, they are very ambitious, aggressive, and their food habits go with it. They like it that way. If you give them mild foods like, fruits and things like that, they would not like it. They'll not be happy. Give them something very fried and very spicy and very salty and things like that. They love it. So all those who go to Pizza Huts and all those who go to McDonald's, they're definitely not Sattvic people. So this next time you're going home and you're eating in all these hotels, you remember what you're doing. But the food that you eat becomes your thought. Thought becomes your word. Word becomes your action. Action becomes your habit. Habit becomes your destiny. A character. Character becomes destiny. So there is a whole sequence So if you go and eat wrong kinds of foods, your thought process will also change. You might be a good person, but your friend turns out to be a Rajasic fellow. He lures you into, let's eat this, let's eat that. And for a moment you give into the temptation and you go with the friend, eat all kinds of things, you will come back as a changed person. Rajasic thoughts will contaminate all your pure thoughts. Somebody who's very pure may not be able to digest such a food. I've seen children, they'll vomit it out if you take them to places and feed them things that they don't like. Because their body is not able to accept, their body, mind is very sattvic. Give them anything Rajasic, they will vomit it out. Similarly, if to Rajasic food, people who give sattvic food, they'll vomit that also out. What is this? Okay, I'm not a cow or a buffalo eating grass and leaves. Give me something else. They are like that the other way around. And then there are the worst, tamasic people. They like only things which are rotting, which are smelly, which are kind of putrid, which is already, kind of getting deteriorated, which has been stored for a long, long time. They don't mind eating all that cold and hard and dry food. They don't mind all that. They love it. But if you may wonder, how are they able to even eat this thing? But they enjoy it. They like it that way. And this culture, New Age culture is there, right? Storing everything in the refrigerator and eating for the rest of the year. Where does that idea come from? I don't know. Where, even if you keep dal chawal, you eat rice and dal, but you keep it in the fridge, a nice sattvic food becomes tamasic food. Because Krishna says, Vani yama. Yama means 3 hours period. If it crosses the 3 hours period, you have not eaten it, it turns into tamasic food. Before that 3 hours period, you should eat it. So you should cook fresh and eat fresh. But how many of us are willing to do that? Because every day you have to cook means every day you have to put efforts. Every day you have to start the kitchen, you have to cut the things, you have to... Not many people do that, especially in Western countries I've seen. In India, most of the households still practice. They, at least, if not every 3 hours, at least once in a day they will cook fresh food, that is there. That same sambar becomes rasam by night, that we know. Mother will be there. Put some water in it, put little salt and give back. But best is I always tell that Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Paranam applies to our dosa batter. Every time it takes a new birth. And mothers are notorious in doing that. They'll store it in refrigerator and keep feeding you the same dosa batter in different forms, shapes, avatars. But our hostels, I have told, don't do this. I asked them to cook fresh and serve fresh. Imagine your breakfast is served fresh. It is cooked less than 3 hours before your breakfast time. Our cooks begin the day at 4:30 in the morning. And make sure that by 7 o'clock all your breakfast is served. They again cook all of the first half to serve your lunch on time by noon. Again they cook to serve your evening snacks. And again they cook to serve your dinner. Every time it is cooked fresh. You tell me with your hand on your heart, how many of your parents feed you fresh food every hour? It means every session of the day. It's fresh. It's not repeated. It is not, reshaped and redesigned. You really put your hand on your heart and say, how many of your parents would do that? How many mothers really work this hard to cook 4 times? If you have a cook or something in the house, a chef, cook or some support, it's okay. They also may do something in the kitchen which we may not know. But at the end, not many people do that. And especially this can and tin culture is absolutely tamasic, rajasic or tamasic. Depends on what is the content and how long it has been in it. And you do not know. In fact, I was always joking, after COVID, when hotels, restaurants open, I told people, please don't go to restaurants at this point in time, because the masala that they have made, that was made before COVID. And hotels closed, restaurants closed, so naturally they won't throw this. They are business people. You see, anyayena artha sanchaya. No problem, we will make money even by doing wrong things. So all that masala which was cooked in 2020 is served in 2022. Don't ever go near any restaurant is what I told them. But thing is that all these affects your mind. All these affects your mind. Just fresh food is very important. I always tell the best food is like this. Whatever grows under the earth, that is tamasic food. Like tubers and so many roots and other things. Because they are always in the dark. They hardly grow with sunlight. They are under the earth. Then whatever grows from the earth above, like grains and pulses and vegetables and all that, that's better food. Whatever comes from the sky, like fruits and other things which are growing on a tree, that is even better, because that is very sattvic food. But whatever moves around, that is the worst food. Don't ever touch them, that's what I tell. Whatever comes from the sky, best food. Whatever grows from the earth, second best. Whatever grows under the earth, third, tamasic. Whatever moves around, you should not even eat. And many people argue, no, we need to have all the proteins and all the things like that. And I tell them, you get proteins from so many other sources also. You find your sources correctly and eat them. I was telling the other day also that in the world, the amount of carbon footprint that now climate change, everybody is talking about it. Climate change and all this issue. And I was today reading a newspaper, the losses to the world because of climate change have been so much more. In 1970s, I think some $180 billion were lost because of climate issues like sudden rain or sudden heat or sudden because of which crops failed and because of which people suffered and losses happened. Today it is more than $1,400 billion. Means $1.4 trillion losses every year happens because of climate issues. This could be environmental issues, this could be water or food cycle or anything, plants die. All this because of our bad food habits. Why it's bad food habit? Because we are eating things which are creating more and more issues for the environment. And I told just the animal farm and the meat industry creates 50% of the carbon footprint. The remaining 50% is by all other sources like industries, vehicles and so on. So the idea is that if we can change our food habits, we will be able to solve a lot of problems. But to change our food habits, what has to change? Our Shraddha has to change. Our Shraddha, from Tamasi Shraddha, it becomes Sattvic Shraddha. Then we'll start eating Sattvic food. We will not harm and hurt anybody. And that way, world also will become better. Climate issues also will be resolved. So this is how our Shraddha can not just affect us, it affects everybody around us. If more and more people become Sattvic, their food habits will change, their living habits will change. That will have a positive impact on the entire world. That is why in our hostels we serve only Sattvic food. Once in a while, some ice creams or some bit of some fried food and all we give, because children are children. They love to have a little different taste once in a while, and we should not deny them too. But definitely not tamasic food. Tamasic food is definitely not allowed, especially non-vegetarian. Absolutely we do not allow, because as I said, that comes under the category of tamasic food. So rajasic, very limited, once in a while, and sattvic all the time. This is how we must eat. If we eat like this, it will affect the mind. So it's like this. What is your interest? That is how you behave. Or you start changing your behavior, your interests will also start changing. So because of your Shraddha, you eat certain kind of food. Change the kind of food, your Shraddha will start changing. It will have an indirect effect on you. So I am a very big proponent of sattvic food only. And I insist that sattvic food is served to everybody. Once in a while, a little bit of, what you call a preserved food or whatever, ice creams and chocolates are okay, but it's not daily thing. But I've seen countries and people who never have lit a kitchen fire at all, in the sense, never even started the gas stove. It's there, kitchen is there, ovens are there, everything is there. All they have is tins and cans they buy from boxes and packed thing. The same thing they eat whole year. And all they do is just heat it up and eat it again. And reheating is even worse. At least without heating you're eating, that is still better than reheating it. So that causes a lot of this cancer and many other, every time you heat oil, it releases free radicals. That goes and disturbs the cell mechanisms, and that causes cancer. And so many people, and go and check where the cancer is more. Western countries, it is much more than India. Because most of the people eat food like this. They all eat preserved food, tinned food, canned food. They eat food which have been cooked much before, and they reheat it many times and eat it. All this is not good for health. And because of it, so many lifestyle diseases. We never knew about things like diabetes and blood pressures and cancers and cardiovascular issues till maybe probably 150, 200 years back. I was watching one documentary about food habits and how it's affecting the environment as well as health of people. And I watched in that about Australia, where there are people who are natives. They never ate white flour or they never ate butter and things like that, because they used to fish or whatever, that is their way of doing things. That was the natural food for them. But with the advent of Western restaurants and chains, lot of people started eating all these kinds of food which was not going well with their body. And now they all have ended with diabetes and other issues, which was not there 100 or 200 years ago. So these issues are food-based issues, which is what is the cause. Second thing, how we grow food also, we grow with chemicals that goes into the water cycle, water table. And those who are not eating bad food, they also get affected because you have spoiled their water. So it's not that I eat whatever I want, how does it matter to you? No. To produce what you like to eat, the whole environment is paying a price. And I am a part of that environment, though I am not eating the same food as you, which is damaging. Yet because of the damage to the environment, indirectly I am also suffering. Good people also will suffer. That is why it's in our interest that we make everybody good. It's not enough if we are alone good. Because somebody doing bad will indirectly affecting us. Like passive smoking. Like that, this is passive way of getting affected by what's going on around us. So it's in our interest that we set right everybody's Shraddha and make them all from Tamasik to Rajasic to Sattvic. So on food, Bhagavan gives a long discourse in this. Similarly, Yajna, Dana and Tapa, he tells there are various ways we have to propitiate gods, we have to do our duties toward the society. Yajna is one duty, that there are many kinds of yajnas. Pitra yajna, Deva yajna, Bhuta yajna. So we have to keep doing these yajnas. In the old time, that was the method. But with what attitude you do yajna is again important. If you do it for the sake of something in return, then that yajna becomes Rajasic or Tamasic. Aphalakankshi, without any expectation of fruit, when you do to please God, that yajna becomes Sattvic yajna. So he recommends, please do everything that you do in life for the sake of God without expectations of any results. Without showing off. Many people do yajnas to show off that they have so much of wealth, and they are, like even our Dharmaraja would perform a yajna after the Mahabharata war. And in that yajna, he invites everybody and makes a big pomp and show. And that time, Sri Krishna warns him that you are getting into too much of exhibitionism. But he doesn't like that comment, and they make a big list and finally runs out of budget. And then he asks Krishna, what do I do? I have made a big list of things and I wanted to do all this, but I have no money left. Then Sri Krishna says, now that you have gotten yourself into this trouble, I warned you before, because of show off you did all these things. Now let me see what I can do for you. And then he tells, go on this particular road and dig the sides of the road, and you will find gold over there. So he sends his soldiers and digs on the sides of the road, and he finds bricks of gold, which were buried a few feet in the earth. Then Krishna asks Dharmaraja, asks Krishna, where did this all gold come from? Who buried it there? And tons of it, Then Shri Krishna says, you think you're the first person who was doing yajna like this? Before you, your purvajas, your ancestors have done yajna. They gave so much dana, they gave so much of charity, gold and other things, that people got tired carrying it, so they dumped it on the roadside and took only what they could. That is the kind of wealth was there before you also. So don't think you are the first and the foremost to do such kind of yajna. So that's how he teaches him a lesson. The idea is many people do it for the sake of showing off. Their yajnas are like that. Their dana is like that. They will never do charity unless everybody is watching. And I have seen people like that. They want to ensure that everybody on earth knows that they have done this danam, however small it is. And I do not like that kind of danam at all, because which is done with pomp and show, with the feeling that I am giving and you are receiving. Even that should not. Anupakarine, it says. Do not give with an idea that I am doing upakara, I am favoring, or I am doing favor to somebody. Do it with humility. Nobody should know. In fact, when the right hand gives, left hand should not know. That's the kind of danam we should do. And I was seeing recently, our devotees are very good. They don't even like it. Even if I tell them, I will put your name and announce your name, they come and tell me, please don't embarrass us in front of everybody. Please allow us to remain anonymous. That's what they say. So you go around seeing so much of we have built. How many places you will see somebody who's very senior person or somebody whom I want to honor, I would have put their name or something. Otherwise, nowhere. Only in recent times. Now because, our devotees have done their might and much more than their might, I also opened the idea to many people in the society, corporates and things like that. First thing they ask is, where you are going to put our corporate name? Where is going to be the board? That is the first question they ask. How are you going to name things after us? How are you going to recognize our work? And I'm fed up with this, unfortunately I have no choice, so I'm just dealing with it. But let me tell you, it is very painful when every time they ask, even for sponsoring a bed, where my board is going to come, who is going to recognize this, and how are we going to come and participate in this? How are you going to make everybody know about it? So I understand there are corporate social responsibility programs are there. There are some obligations that the company has done, so some bit of mentioning has to happen because that's a social obligation, and they are running a company on behalf of so many shareholders, and they have duties towards that. I perfectly agree. So sometimes we allow that as a part of it. But generally, if people come and ask, I feel very upset. I think this is all Rajasic Dhanam, where you're doing it for showing off, not for really helping people. Helping people is only part of your thinking. The real thinking is, if I'm helping, everybody should know that I have helped. That kind of dhanam is no dhanam. Shri Krishna says, I do not like that. And then what he says about tapa also. Many people think tapas means go to forest and do all kinds of austerities, stay hungry and suffer. He says that by doing that they make me suffer in them. Who is hungry? Who is the enjoyer? Who is the Lord? Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi. When we are saying who is the Lord? Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. Who says? Krishna says. So when you do unnecessary upavasas, japa, tapa and all kinds of too much of austerities, whom are you tormenting? That's Shri Krishna within. So he says everything in moderation is fine, but extremities are to be avoided. And in tapas also given many beautifully, there's 3 kinds of tapa. Mano tapa, vak tapa and Sharira tapa. So Sharira tapa, Mano tapa and Vak tapa, and very beautifully explains what is Sharira tapa, means how should you perform the austerities of the body, austerities of the mind and austerities of the tongue. Now imagine tongue, because tongue is the reason for so many conflicts in the world. And that tapa, austerity of tongue, is not about only controlling your food, but also how you speak, how you deal with people. All that, anudvega karam vakyam is. You should not speak things which will create agitation and irritation in others. Remember, yasman no dvijate loko, like that. You should speak in a sweet way, priyam, hitam. So he explains these are all the qualities of sattvic people who practice this kind of a tapa in all these aspects of body, mind and their word. And then he goes finally to say that whenever we do any of these things, we have to remember the Lord and do. Now that sanctifies all of it. Sometimes we may not have that purity while doing any of these activities, yajna or dana or tapa or even eating your food. You have to remember God. And how do you remember God? He gives the formula Om Tat Sat. Remember, after every chapter we chant Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su. Om Tat Sat is very powerful. Om itself is the synonym for Brahman. It's synonymous. It's not even like Om is indicating Brahman. Om is Brahman is what our scriptures say. Om iti Brahma. This is what scriptures say. That itself is Brahman. So for all religions there are some symbols. See, their religious symbols are there. There is cross, there is a star and the moon and fire and Dharma Chakra. Every religion has a symbol. Our Sanathana Dharma has the symbol of Om. Because this is a perfect representation of Brahman or divinity. Why it's perfect representation? Because Om starts with silence. Then comes a, u, and then again goes back into silence. So we have 4 stages in Om. All that is there in Mandukya Upanishad. Some of it has already been explained in the video. Some of it you go and study. That how Jagrut Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Sushupti and the 4th. The 4th it is called. Chaturtha. What is that 4th? That is the silence in which you experience the pure absolute consciousness, awareness. When you're chanting a, you are making effort to chant something. U, you are making effort. You are making effort. But silence is effortless. So Brahman's existence is effortless existence is what you say. All the efforts are in the waking, dreaming or even deep sleep. But effortless existence is Brahman. So when you do what you love to do with your Shraddha, you will feel this effortlessness in it. A child can go on playing for 2 hours, 3 hours in sun and rain. Effortlessly it plays. Because it loves playing. It's not tired. You tell them how much you're suffering, how much you're struggling, how much you... The child is not going to come back. Same child, you put him in a mathematics class. So much of effort to keep himself awake. And then our seasoned, practiced mathematics teacher knows how to throw the chalk correctly to the same child. It won't hit the next one in this one. He's mastered this art over a period. That is how. So what you love is always effortless. So what should be your existence? Existence should be effortless. When is your existence going to be effortless? When you're doing exactly what God has sent you to do here. Because then God takes over and God does everything. Then your life becomes effortless. Like my life is effortless. Whatever needs to be done, it gets done. I may look like I'm working, but I'm not exerting. I'm not struggling. That struggle, that exertion, that doesn't exist for me. So effortlessness is a concept you will understand only when you go and contemplate on all those things which you love to do, where you never feel tired. That is the time you are in touch with your divinity. That is the time you are being God. So try to find out those moments when you are absolutely effortless in whatever you do. You should not feel strained, stressed, you should not feel exhausted, or you are exerted so much. At the end of the experience, you should come out as joyfully. I'm not saying you won't be tired. You may get tired doing it, but you will come back joyfully, not exhausted in your mind. Body may get tired because you have done some work, but mind will not be tired. So that effortlessness of mind is the indication that this is what you are born to do. This is what you are born to do. And you cannot say sleep is effortless. No, because mind switches off in sleep. So that is not effortlessness. Like that somebody is in coma, he is living an effortless life. But that is not effortlessness I'm talking about. When your mind is not feeling the exhaustion, when your mind is not feeling the tiredness and exertion, that is when you know that you're living an effortless life. That is when you know that is your Shraddha, that is the pursuit of your life, that is what you ought to do. But it cannot be tamasic or rajasic. If it's tamasic way, you are enjoying, your mind is never getting tired, cheating people, defrauding them, committing crimes. No, they are also doing it effortlessly. I've seen such brilliant hackers, they can hack banking systems, very secure systems, effortlessly. But that is not right. Then you are in the tamasi Shraddha. You're using the divine in a wrong way. You're torturing the divinity within yourself. That's what Sri Krishna says. They torture me, they torment me within them. Who? Tamasi people. By doing all wrong things. Because I don't like it, but then he's a witness consciousness. You can use the power of electricity to do whatever you want. Your mind can use it as it pleases. So they do not do the right things. So this is the idea of Shraddha. Om Tat Sat should be chanted before everything you do, because it reminds you that Om is that Brahman. Tat means that. Sat means the ultimate truth. Anything that is done in another way without properly having the Sattvic Shraddha in it, it is Asat only, Bhagavan says. Everything done with Shraddha, with good Shraddha, Sattvic Shraddha is Sat. Anything done without Sattvic Shraddha is Asat only. Means it is not good for you, it is not true, it will lead to temporary things. It will not lead to permanence. Anything done with Sattvic Shraddha, pure feelings will always remain permanent. That is why when people ask, today also somebody asked, Swamiji, how are you able to run all these things? How are you managing? This is not possible. These are the first newcomers, Here people have got used to it, Miracles are like a very commonplace thing over here. Nobody even feels this is a miracle over here. Everybody thinks this is the way of life. It feels like anything just normal. But somebody who comes from outside for the first time, they are all shocked. How are you managing? How are you doing all these things? Because all this is done with very pure feelings. Sattvika Shraddha. All this is done with pure Sattva Shraddha, where we are doing for the greater good of all without any selfishness, without any expectation of any return, without wanting to show off or put up an exhibition of our talents and skills, nothing. We are just doing with pure feeling for the betterment of all. That is Sattvik Shraddha. Because of that, it has become Sat. Sat means permanent. Sat means ultimate. Sat, that is why these projects are just growing and growing. It never gets exhausted. This is because of this Sattvika Shraddha with which we are performing our Yajna, Dana, Tapa and everything over here. So this is the best place and best example how one can lead a Sattvik life doing Yajnas. Yajna means all your actions are Yajna. They're all Sattvik. Tapa, all your austerities are Sattvik over here. Austerities means whatever has been mentioned about body, mind and word. See, we are all doing that. Then Dana, whatever we are giving here or sharing, everything is done selflessly without any exhibitionism. Again, Dana is being done Sattvik. The food habits, Annam, again Sattvik. All these important aspects of one's spiritual growth is all Sattvik. That is why Om Tat Sat is manifesting over here. The very presence of Brahman is there, which is furthering all the projects and all the efforts that we are putting. In Kali Yuga, if you want to come and see a place where all these ideas of Bhagavad Gita are in practice, are manifesting, there for all to see and experience, this is the place. And this is where Bhagavad Gita finds its true meaning in all of us. They say, Sat Shastri Kurvanti Shastrani. The Shastras find their Sat means their ultimate manifestation of the principles that are lying in it in such places, in such people. And that is the place here in Muddenahalli where it is happening. So Sat Shastri, again Sat, Om Tat Sat. So this is where it is happening. It's only because of the Sattvic Bhavana that we have for everyone. We want to serve everyone without any expectations of returns. That is why we are doing so well. One or two questions I can take. If the questions are there, they must have piled up. Quickly some 2-3 questions.
Swami, insomnia is a fast growing problem, especially in the youth. Can you please guide us on how to have sound sleep?
They're not working hard enough. If you really work hard and your body is tired by the end of the day, where is insomnia? Even if somebody puts a gun on your head, you will sleep off because you are so tired. Youth should get out of their beds and couches, give up this video gaming and social media, get into the fields, in the sense, at least the sports field, walk their way to the offices and colleges, and eat sattvic food. They'll get good sleep, no doubt about it. As long as their life is normal. It's not like they're fighting a war for the country. Obviously, that night you should not sleep also. But otherwise, in general, if they work hard enough, the body gets tired by the end of the day, the mind has remained pure, insomnia will never happen to them.
Swami, we see that you do everything in such a meticulous manner and pay attention to the smallest details. How can we also achieve this?
I love this. Therefore, I am very particular. I love being right. I love being correct. I love things to be the way they should be. That is what is yoga karmasu kaushalam. So you also develop that kind of love, and you will also enjoy doing what you are doing. So idea is that you should love what you are doing. If you love what you are doing, even if you are cooking something, you will do it very well. You will do it perfectly. You are singing, you will do it perfectly. You are walking also, talking also, you become perfect. Why? Because you love what you are doing. And that is not possible for you. You have also sometimes have to God to do things that you don't love. Then do it as an offering to God, because that's a part of your social obligation. Even as you offer to God, you will do it perfectly. So your meticulousness, your perfection, your efforts come from the idea that you love whatever you are trying to do. That's when everything becomes perfect. Yoga karmasu kaushalam happens, and once in a while we might have to do things which we may not love because it's a part of our obligation or duty towards others. Nevertheless, do it as an offering to God. Again, because you love offering things to God, you love God, you will do it well nevertheless. It won't feel like a burden.
Swami, what is the importance of numbers in spirituality, especially when we are told to chant mantras 3 times, 21 times, or 108 times?
Numbers have their own magic in terms of sacredness, and 9 is a divine number that we all are aware of, because in this universe, if you start studying, lot of things add up to 9, or they're multipliable by 9 or by divisible by 9. And I do not have all the mathematics things, but if you go to the Vedic mathematics, lot of these secrets are there. So why these numbers are important? Because somewhere this is like Om represents Brahman. How does it Om represent Brahman? Because the sound of Om, the idea of Om represents Brahman. Like this idea of a number like 9 represents that perfection, that intelligence of divinity that exists in the entire universe. So it reminds you that divinity exists as this kind of perfection and intelligence as it is in the numbers, as it is in mathematics. So from that point of view, generally 9 number is considered very sacred. But otherwise, why we tell to repeat things is because at least once you will get it right out of 50 times or 30 times. Even once you get it right, Swalpam Visya Dharmasya will happen and something good will happen to you. But even there people manage to chant it so mechanically that after 108 chants also, not even once it has touched the heart of God. Because you have been so mechanical and so disinterested in what you are doing. So numbers are given only from the point of view that you can keep your mind steady for long enough till you are able to transcend the mind. But not otherwise. That is the main reason for numbers.
Swami, certain root vegetables like carrots and beetroots are categorized as being tamasic and are deemed by doctors as healthy food. Should they be avoided or consumed?
As I mentioned that in our scripture, whatever grows under the earth is considered a little tamasic, largely because it is not under the direct, sunlight and the air. It is growing in dark conditions, in humid conditions, which is a different kind of energy it absorbs. See, everything is energy, that you should never forget. Everything is energy, and energy only is translating into matter. Again, when you eat that matter, it becomes energy in you. So what kind of energy that tuber or the root is growing? In tamasic kind of energy, because there is darkness over there, there is cold over there is humidity over there. All these are like tamasic things. That energy is dull energy. So the food that is grown using that energy is also dull energy food. When you eat that food, it will also become dull in your energy. They are good because they have certain things which you may be deficient about, so you have to eat. Again, as I said, eating in Yukta Ahara Vihara is still okay. If there is a recommendation, you must eat that because it is good for your body, whatever you have deficiencies, it's important. Yukta Ahara Vihara is okay. But generally we avoid, especially in Chaturmasam I was watching, nobody wants to eat the food that is grown recently from the earth, because after summer season, the earth is very hot. And when rains come, the heat goes into the earth. And that heat is still there. In that, if anything grows, it brings a lot of heat energy. And when you eat that, you also develop that kind of heat in the body, which you cannot afford because right now sun is not available. If sun is not there, your digestion gets affected. So if you eat anything which is hard to digest, in rainy season, in monsoon season, it will affect your health also. Once your stomach is upset, your mind be not at peace. When your mind is not at peace, how will you do meditation? So they avoid certain foods because they are difficult to digest. They grow in tamasic conditions. That kind of energy they bring is tamasic in nature. Therefore, we should avoid.
Swami, sometimes the fear of not being able to deliver as expected inhibits us from doing the work itself. How can we overcome this mental block?
If you never do, you'll never get there. Just because you may not be able to achieve it, thinking that you never start doing anything, then you'll never achieve that perfection in life. Suppose the fear of falling stopped you from walking in your childhood. Today you would be sitting in one place and somebody had to be carrying you around. You overcame that fear that time, that you were not able to walk, yet you tried and today you are able to walk. Likewise, when we want to do something, yes, there may be difficulties, we may not be perfect, we may not be used to it, first time we are doing, but that is how everything begins first time. But few times you do it over and over again with a few mistakes also, it is okay. Not trying at all is the biggest crime. Trying and failing is still okay. So unless you overcome that idea that, oh, if I fail, it will be a shame, everybody will scold, or I would have wasted something, then you will never learn anything in life. So as long as your intentions are sincere, you didn't try to do it wrong because you wanted to do it. You did not have tamasi or rajasi feelings because of which you are doing things. With sattvic bhava, if you are doing, even if it goes wrong and you don't deliver it exactly as it is, because your intentions have been very pure, you will still be forgiven for the shortcomings. So don't carry that guilt and burden that. Then you will never start in your life. You will never be able to do anything in your life. So don't worry so much about it. Take the plunge, take the first step, do it sincerely with the best of your efforts. Whatever results and outcome comes, offer it to the divine.
They say that the pineal gland is a seat of intuition, Swami. Can you please enlighten us?
Pineal gland is a gland. It's like a part of our biology. But it has certain, like every particular part of the brain has certain these kind of areas which have a certain cognitive function, which like you hear using certain area of the brain, you see using certain area like that. So this pineal gland is a very, very less researched area of the brain, but what it says is that it has some kind of in the sense if it gets activated, it has some kind of deeper understanding, it develops a deeper understanding of things, not just at the sensory perception. Rest of the brain is generally about your sensory perceptions. Pineal gland is a little more about intuitive perceptions, and intuition, again, as I said, it is not something that is connecting to the divine and getting you the intuition. It's an ability in all of us. Intuition is a natural born ability, but we don't utilize it. Like some part of the brain, if it's not working, you can't hear or you can't smell. Likewise, this particular gland has a speciality that it creates the intuitive feeling, intuitive ability in us. Connecting it to divinity is not correct. It is still physiology or biology only. It is not some supernatural science. It is basic biology only. But it has the ability to start you to get thinking beyond whatever you see and perceive. A little deeper understanding develops. Again, it's an ability of that gland. So when you do meditation, what happens? You are already developing intuitiveness. Because meditation allows you to see beyond, think beyond, and feel beyond your sensory perceptions. And that function is very similar to what pineal gland also does. Therefore, both have been kind of related with each other. That if your pineal gland gets activated, you become more, you have extrasensory perceptions. Similarly, because of other meditative techniques, you develop extrasensory perceptions, you will see some activity in the pineal gland. But that is something that has not been very researched. And I asked our doctors also about it in Sanjeevani. They said this is something they were not even taught properly in the medical course, because nobody has worked on this. I think it's not very clear to them how this pineal gland works. So there is one area which we can still do some research and find out how that area works and how it is connected to a little extrasensory perceptions or intuitive feelings. That is an area to be developed still.
As the last question for this evening, Swami, sometimes negative thoughts crop into our minds unconsciously or without our intention. How can we avoid this?
Yes, you're right. You're right, it might be an unconscious thing, but it is coming from your subconscious. It is the chitta, which is there deep down somewhere. So whenever that particular experience repeats, or you pass through an area which you have earlier also gone through, or people whom you have met before, you meet them again, not knowing that they are the same people from another lifetime, then immediately those feelings, those emotions get triggered off. That is from your subconscious. So subconscious is still there and these things are embedded deep there. So anytime you come across that, you suddenly develop, like people develop fear. Someday they would have met with an accident. Next time when ever they are on the road, any car passes by, they get scared. They feel the car is going to hurt them. That's a negative feeling. Unconsciously they're experiencing it. Because of that experience they have had earlier, which has gone deep into their subconscious memory, and every time a circumstance similar to that comes around you, you immediately get triggered off because of that. But that time you have to sit down and explain to yourself, this is unnecessary, this has come from another reason, another subconscious memory, but right now the circumstances are not the same. Things have changed, you have to explain to yourself and move on. Otherwise you will keep getting scared of everything, because I'm sure in many, many lives we have experienced many things, good, bad, ugly. And in this life again, we may come across the similar people from those janmas or situations which are similar to those janmas, and immediately this subconscious memory gets triggered. And that time we experience unnecessary anxiety, and many people come and tell, I feel anxious whenever I pass this way, or whenever I think of that, whenever I use this particular object. I tell them, see, did it harm you? Did these things harm you? No. Then why are you getting afraid? It's coming from some other birth. So this is your anxiety which is born in another lifetime, and it is embedded in your subconscious memory, what you call as chitta, and from there it gets triggered off every time. So you just do some analysis, what I call it as, parimargitavyam or ekatma patyaya Sara. Go and trace the root of where these ideas are coming. Then you realize that some of them are really baseless, and you get rid of it at the end of it. Like children are scared, there is a ghost in the bathroom. But when you go and switch on the light and show them, go all the way back. Where did you see the ghost? I think I saw in the corridor. Let's open the corridor, switch on all the lights. Where is the ghost? No, I think it went into the bathroom. It came from the bathroom. You go all the way, switch it on, and once for all clear that anxiety. So that subconscious is very, very powerful. In fact, our 80% that we do right now is out of our subconscious feelings only. Only 20% we are doing out of conscious feelings. Can you believe that is the power of our chitta? Everything, every decision we make, every analysis we make is based on what we have done before. The chitta comes into picture. Unknowingly it is working in deciding things for us. Consciously we do very little. More than 2/3 of whatever we do is based on our subconscious chitta. And that gets triggered off, and like an automatic process it is. So when you have these negative feelings and other feelings which you find it strange, why I am thinking like this, then go trace it all the way back and find the root cause of it and get rid of it, because many of them are not necessary for this birth in these times. So do some research and go back and look for the roots of it. With that we'll close. There is a music dance recital today, and by Tanushree Shankarji and team, and they will be performing, so we'll watch them. Again, as I said, in everything see the presence of divinity, how divinity alone animates everybody, everything, including the dancers on the stage, the audience in this hall. And please, one thing, pin drop silence, especially the kids over there behind. Otherwise I will not call you for any function. These small kids, they don't understand, I understand their plight, so they get into talking. The thing, when you switch off the light, we cannot see you, but we can still hear you. So if you talk, I can hear you. And I have my pineal gland very active. So I get to even know who is speaking in which corner. That sharp. So you don't think that I'm sitting right in front, I don't get to hear anything that is happening in the back. Not true. So many people have this habit, children. When lights are off, anyway nobody will know who is speaking. So let us speak. That is not right, especially the younger ones. This is a warning. I will not call you for the functions next 2 days if you continue chatting behind.